Slash dot. News for nerds. Stuff that matters. US geneticist discusses North Korea trip with Dennis Rodman. Posted by Samson Pass on Monday, January 20, 2014. From the Listen Up department. Science Habit writes, if you happen to catch any of the news coverage of Dennis Rodman's trip to North Korea last week, you might have spotted in the big man's entourage a white guy with an Amish-style beard, as in clean-shaven cheeks and no mustache. That's Joseph Towill-Ledger, 48, a statistical geneticist who splits his time at Columbia University and the University of Helsinki. He's now visited North Korea 3 times with the basketball star. He sat down with Science magazine for a Q&A about how he got involved with Rodman and whether the trips are helping or hurting US relations with the country. Let's look at some comments about this article. Score 5, funny. What is this doing on slash dot? Is this the current slash dot meme? Can't you find some subtle but hilarious, in a geeky way, tie in with Natalie Portman? Good grief, put some effort into it, man. But to answer your question, the man is not just a geneticist, but a statistical geneticist, so that qualifies for the minimum needed geek factor for a poorly edited slash dot story. Score 5, interesting. 1. North Korea is probably the most interesting bit of foreign policy, which does appeal to nerds. 2. Look at the picture, the guy is clearly a nerd. 3. More importantly, from TFA, most of my work has been on trying to identify natural experiments that mimic experimental conditions in a way that might help us to understand the genetics of normal human variation in health and disease. The article is focused on stuff that has a more general interest, but North Korean genetics are absolutely interesting to a bio-nerd as a natural experiment in the sense that it's not set up specifically to be an experiment. It would be very interesting, for example, if you could show rapid human evolution in response to the shit that's going on there. I've heard that North Koreans are on average a foot shorter than South Koreans. They've only been separated by 2 or 3 generations. Presumably a lot of that is due to malnutrition, but it's not too hard to imagine that some of that is due to people who are genetically predisposed to being shorter would survive better. How fast is that happening? Are there genes which correlate to speaking out against tyranny that are being selected against? There are definitely very interesting questions that can be answered by North Korea. It goes without saying that I wish this experiment were not occurring, but since it is, may as well collect data from it, though there are issues with informed consent probably. We can learn a lot from NK about ski park design. Score 3. From TFA. I then kept moving in the tube and 5 other Korean men also were knocked to the ground in their effort to stop my tube from going off a 100-foot cliff that was located at the bottom of the bunny slope. Let me guess, the water park slides all end in shark tanks? To read this story, check the description for the link. Check out /.org for more articles. /. News for nerds, stuff that matters.